Well, hello, friends, and welcome to another discussion on empowerment as we're talking about the Empowerment Summit that is actually next week happening in London, England. I can't wait to join you all there for an amazing discussion with expert speakers. And as we all dive in to talk about empowerment, it's going to be such a fantastic day and evening again. But to tell you the truth, empowerment always starts with you. So let's have a moment and think about why we've come to this spot around having an empowerment summit. It's because of the research around empowerment and how it's impacted by our human common differences that we have. And what came from this research was the 4 empowerment steps, which, of course, as I was mentioning, starts with you. So if you haven't yet gotten an opportunity to download the self-assessment for empowerment, please take the moment, take out your camera, take a picture, navigate to my website so you can download the self-assessment for free. This self-assessment will help you in your journey of self-empowerment. And that will be key in navigating all of your differences and also learning about those who are different than you, which is, of course, one of the amazing reasons why we're having an empowerment summit happening in London. And I have to tell you, step 2 is about knowing others. You're going to hear from some amazing speakers. I'm joined by an amazing expert in this industry in just a few moments. So knowing others is important because that will lead you on a path to learning about empowerment and differences. Speaking of differences, there is 10 of the most common differences that we have as humans that are all baked out within my empowerment research. You'll have to recognize whether you have a privilege or a disprivilege in relation to all of these differences. And each one is part of where empowerment can live. So I guide you to my website as well to download the differences assessment, which will help you in your categorization of where you should be focusing on self-empowerment versus empowerment for other people. Because it lives in this spot here where you uncover how to develop your strategy, which is step 3. So if you're fancy on using the cell phone, then definitely take a picture of the QR code on the screen, and that will guide you right to my website to download your copy of the differences assessment. And I have to say that at the end of the day, it all comes down to taking action. And I call these actions empowering actions because they combine empowerment with the corresponding action that you're doing to impact humans on this planet. And you're providing authority and power and you are connecting it to people, then that means you're taking empowering action. There are 10 that came from my research that could make the biggest impact for our humans and all of our differences that we have, hence empowering differences. Each one connects empowerment and is exactly the reason why we're doing an empowerment summit and we're producing events around the world specifically to give people the opportunity to learn about the actions they should do to impact humans and learn about different cultures and communities. So it's all coming here today to this moment, which now I get a chance to bring behind the curtain. Becky's coming out, so come on out. Let's no longer hide you. You are here. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm so glad that you're here, and we're literally crossing the pond today in our discussion, which is super exciting. But I'm really excited to have all of our viewers learn a little bit more about you. We're going to have a chat together. But can you talk a little bit about our sponsor today, Visit Tampa Bay, which I'm super thrilled for them to be a sponsor of our event coming up next week in London. Can you talk a little bit about them? And I'm going to hide myself.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ashley. It's such a pleasure to be here. and to talk about Tampa, which I think is funny, seeing as Ashley, you're from Tampa and I'm in London talking about Tampa, and then next week you'll be in London. But yeah, Visit Tampa Bay, we're over the moon to be sponsoring this, and it's such a good match-up for the destination, which is all about welcoming travellers from all over, being really accessible, and ensuring that our communities from across Tampa are involved in tourism, and the history and heritage of the destination is shown. So for people who don't know, Tampa Bay is on Florida's Gulf Coast, and we have everything to offer, from the sunshine to kind of cool, laid-back vibe, a rich culture, loads of fun activities to be had, amazing cuisine. So Tampa was recently recognized by the Michelin Guide for the outstanding mix of kind of global cuisine that we have across the destination. You can take time while you're there to stroll along the river walk, which is 2.6 miles long, right on the Hillsborough River, and really does kind of open up the downtown area. And you can stop in at one of the restaurants, or there's one of the two food halls that kind of bookend the river walk, visit one of the many attractions, whether that's the History Center, where you can learn all about the history of Tampa, whether that's the pirates and Jose Gaspar, who allegedly came in on his pirate ship and is the reason that there's this huge Gasparilla festival every January. Well, now it's every January to March, because there's also a film festival and a music festival and all stuff like that. Or maybe you might want to go to the Florida Aquarium or the Tampa Museum of Art and learn about the culture there. So there's all sorts going on off of the Riverwalk. And something else that's really important to mention is Ybor City, which is our Cuban Latin Quarter, which is the reason why Tampa was known for a very long time as the Cuban cigar capital of the world. Back in 1885, millions of Cuban cigars were made there every year, and that history is still there. You can still visit the J.C. Newman factory and learn how to roll a cigar yourself, and they're still artisan cigars are still being made there to this day. So there's that whole rich history. And again, that's also exemplified in the food. So we are the home of the Cuban sandwich. And the reason that we know that we're the home of the Cuban sandwich is that they were invented to kind of fill the cigar factory workers. And so you've got the influences of all of the different communities that came over to Tampa at the time. So whether that's the Cubans, the Germans, the Swiss, the Italians, and all the different cheeses and the meats and the Cuban bread, etc., all together in the Cuban sandwich. So it's absolutely delicious, and still can be found at the Columbia restaurant, which is from 1905, the oldest Spanish restaurant in the USA. And that's still there. That's all somewhere that you have to go. And I think Ybor City kind of really exemplifies what Tampa Bay is all about when it comes to kind of empowerment, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, when it comes to the tourism products on offer. It's a real melting pot of cultures. And for Visit Tampa Bay, that's so important to kind of highlight that, to work with the different communities, to give the communities that empowerment through tourism. And whether that is their kind of Cuban history or their Black history or the ever-growing LGBTQ plus community that's in Tampa Bay. It's really important, that's exemplified. And I think that kind of showcases and highlights what Tampa's all about. And so it's one of the many reasons that we're really pleased, as I say, to sponsor this summit, Ashley, and to get people in London to kind of join in. And so it'd be great to know from your side how people can join the summit, what they need to do.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know, it's like, I can't believe that it's literally next week. I'm like, my bag is, I always have a bag packed. I have 3 suitcases that are like, each one is like, one is started for London, one is for Vegas, and one is for Paris, one is for, like, literally they're all packed and ready. So it's kind of ironic. But no, I'm really excited. Next week, we're going to be convening some really amazing expert speakers in this discussion that we're going to have around empowerment, around the research, around how important inclusivity is to every single destination in the world, especially in Tampa. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But if you have a chance to join us in person, there's I think 8 tickets left. So you'll definitely want to navigate towards the website that you'll see in the chat function. And there is where you'll be able to get tickets for the summit. You can also navigate towards the summit tickets here at the link you see on the screen, right on Eventbrite in the UK. You can get your tickets. You know that it's a reputable thing because it's going to happen at the Aloft Hotel. We're excited to welcome you there. Some of the benefits that you get for attending, it's a pretty long list. It's kind of hard to see them all. But nonetheless, I'll be providing copies of my book, Empowering Differences. I'll be providing copies of, in fact, I have a huge stack of workbooks in my spot right here. Everyone will be getting a workbook. Everyone will be getting the opportunity included will be access to my online learning platform for empowerment. So it's literally an access to a 40-hour curriculum leadership course that's included in their ticket package. We're also going to have some beverages and some lunch and some breakfast included for those that get there early enough for the summit day on the 5th, when we're going to have the majority of the program. We have a reception on the 4th that's going to happen, and then we'll have an evening reception on the 5th. So we're definitely looking forward to having you all there for that. Obviously, there'll also be those expert speakers that I was talking about. Each one is going to present an amazing topic that's going to connect the world, like we are doing with the summit. But if you are not able to attend in person, you can also attend virtually, and you can use this coupon code to save $50 off the virtual ticket. So the coupon code is Summit, and you can access that right on my website for virtual tickets. The website for virtual tickets is coming in your chat right now. And I would definitely recommend that you do that if you can't attend. I know that sometimes it's really difficult to be in a spot in person. There's a lot happening. I know, there's the rail, there's the loop, right? Right, you know about this, Becky, right?
You know it.
So yeah, we would love to see you in person, but if not, definitely support and attend the event virtually. And you can access those virtual tickets right on my website at empoweringdifferences.com. And that will guide you there, and use the coupon code to save $50. It's a US purchase if you're purchasing a virtual ticket, but you'll get access to the Zoom link to participate right there on Zoom. So that way you don't have to try to travel on the train or the rail, right? Who knows how that'll turn out on that day. It might be a little dicey from what I hear, but so be it. We'll be ready to rock and roll. So I'm super thrilled to talk to you. Obviously, we want to see people in person, but if you can't attend in person, please consider attending virtually. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, right? I almost want, since our unique situation is that you're representing Tampa Bay, I'm in Tampa Bay, you kind of hinted at that, and how funny it is that we're bridging the gap.
I know. Really funny.
I was thinking that it would be really cool if I let you ask the first question of me, and maybe you ask me something about Tampa, and maybe
that would be cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
So kind of, I know all of the work that Visit Tampa Bay has done in diversity and inclusion, and obviously I'd love to talk about it. But from your side, what's the kind of bit, the campaign or the content that we've created that really stands out, that really showcases the destination?
That would definitely be an easy answer for me, because it would certainly be Visit Tampa Bay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Do you have that?
I have that. Yeah, I meant to have a copy with me right now, but I love it. It's so good.
So I was a part of the creation of that, actually.
Yes.
Now I'm connecting the dots. Yes. It was me alongside the Creative Loafing publishing team. Yes. We kind of were working on that first issue together. And I actually used to run the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce for Tampa Bay. I ran the chamber from 2013 to 2018-ish. And while I was part of the chamber, I actually was the architect behind the bid to bring the International LGBTQ Business Convention to Tampa in 2019.
Amazing.
Which was like,
Amazing.
I want to say it was like a $10 or $11 million economic impact event to the city.
Yeah.
So Visit Tampa Bay actually named me their tourism champion.
Yes. I did know that. That's brilliant though.
Yeah. So, and so we brought 20 countries, more than 50 LGBTQ chamber of commerces, more than 300 corporations. And I want to say it was close to 2,000 or 1,800 attendees to Tampa, all for the International LGBTQ Business Convention, which was in 2019. And oh my goodness, it did not disappoint. And another thing that you mentioned, which was really cool, you were talking about the historical nature of Tampa, and so all the clubs, right? So you talked about Ybor City. So we had our opening night reception hosted at the Italian Club.
Oh, fab. Perfect. I love it.
Yes. And so when people arrived into Ybor City, we had all 3 levels filled with people from this event. And yeah, it was pretty neat to see the rainbow flags hanging out front of the Italian Club.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was an epic convention. And obviously I do a lot of conventions around the world. So, I'm very partial to my hometown. I was literally born in Tampa. And I'm coming to you from Tampa now, so it's really cool.
That's very cool. And that work within the LGBTQ plus market, obviously over here, we've been doing a lot as well, just working with TTG, so Travel Trade Gazette, which is a travel trade media partner. And we're one of their diversity and inclusion partnerships, and have done seminars and travel agent training on kind of LGBTQ plus travel and why from the UK, we're such a friendly and open, accessible destination, and that it, as you say, that you mentioned the convention was in 2019. This isn't something for Tampa that's just starting, or we've just kind of thought, oh, that would be a cool thing. We need to get involved in diversity and inclusion. This is what Tampa Bay is. And, so all we're doing is kind of highlighting what's already there, but also, learning and talking to people and working with people such as yourselves and other ambassadors to make sure that we are, we are open, we are accessible, and we do, we've done a lot of work in accessible travel, working with different ambassadors, just to make sure for the attractions, what hotels are great, what people need, and if it isn't there, working with our stakeholders, working with our partners, as you know, to kind of generate the product and generate what's needed. So it's really good. It's so cool to talk to you about it, because I know I've been working with Visit Tampa Bay for 7 years, and I know over that time all the work that's happened, and then there's all that work that happened before then. And sometimes I think now, diversity and inclusion can be quite a hip thing to be involved in, and that's great. Obviously, we want tourism to really recognise it and to be, for everyone to do it. But sometimes I think, no, Tampa Bay's been doing this all the time. It's just authentically like it. This is the nature of the destination.
Yeah. Oh, it is definitely. And I have to say, you also talked about a couple of other things in your introduction. You talked about Gasparilla, which is literally like a cultural hotbed of and in fact there's 3 parades. There's the family related one, there's the really, really fun one that kind of I ironically call it like the most fun eclectic parade I've ever been to, and then there's the night parade, which actually goes right through Ybor City, which Ybor City is kind of like the cultural hotbed of diversity and inclusion in Tampa. But it's my community, the LGBTQ community, we call that sometimes we call it Gaybor City, because that is where the gay district is, and so we often call that the gay version of the Gasparilla parade. And so I actually used to run the Knights of the Crew of the Cavaliers,
Yes.
which is
Okay.
the ninth oldest crew in Gasparilla. And I was
Wow.
the first known transgender person to join any of the Gasparilla crews. And I was definitely the first known trans person to have leading any of the Gasparilla crews, which was really cool. I led them for 2 years,
Great.
actually from 2020 through 20. I gave up this year, 2022, because I have a lot of responsibilities. So,
Yeah, I can
but
imagine.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I love that too. And then I think you were kind of hinting a little bit around the destination's choice around economic inclusion, but obviously economic inclusion is a big part of this. People don't want to travel somewhere or be a part of an event, an empowerment summit, for example, unless they know that the event is going to be organized in a proper manner and it's going to have accessibility in mind,
Yeah.
and that all of their cultural beliefs and value systems are going to be valued in attending. I would say it's just pretty neat to be able to kind of have these intersections happen. I'm just curious what your thoughts are around inclusive events.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all have to be mindful, don't we, of what we believe to be true, what we, our understanding of the world, and arranging events that kind of fit into our, what we think. And so, yeah, just personally, the work that I've done in diversity and inclusion with Tampa over the last few years, and I've done a bit of work in sport as well around that space, it's just kind of opening your eyes and just opening your mind and just thinking of all the other what's important to other people and the unconscious biases we might have, and and how important it is for events such as this to really speak to whoever you are, and know that you'll be respected for whoever you are or whatever you believe in. And just understanding as well. I really like the point about privileges, and we're all, I certainly feel like I come from a point of privilege, and just trying to understand how that affects how I see the world, how I see, it's very easy to, I saw something on LinkedIn earlier, and it's very easy when you're in a position of privilege to speak about how other people shouldn't worry about stress and shouldn't get this and that, and then you forget that people do have stresses. And a lot of people in the UK, for example, they work paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that. So I just feel that events like this, it's fantastic with all the experience that you have and everything that you talk about, that it is a summit that's going to be open for everyone, and anyone that attends is going to feel welcome, and that it is for them and it speaks to them, not that it just speaks to other people. And that's quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too that you were talking about too, I think that is neat, is one of our partners, obviously Visit Tampa Bay. I'm so proud of the fact that we're partnering together on this, but Out Britain is one of my other partners on this event. And I'm super excited to build that connection for you and the trade publication and Out Britain, because the work that we're doing together. So I'm actually serving as their minister or ambassador of empowerment, and we're building an empowerment program within Out Britain for entrepreneurs and for the major corporations' employees to better understand empowerment as a foundational construct. And it's going to be part of the member benefits when people partner with Out Britain as a member. So I'm really excited about making that connection next week for you with Matt and Patrick, who run the organization, because they are splendid. You will absolutely love them both.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's really interesting when you start thinking about empowerment in tourism and what it actually means, and how tourism does empower people, and if it's done in the right way, and how it can help communities survive and thrive, but it has to be done in all the right way. But I think that empowerment in tourism is certainly something that's kind of discussed, is around, and people do talk about it, and obviously it has been around and studied, I think, since the 1990s. But I definitely think there's more to be done in terms of kind of that empowerment and within the travel industry, people actually understanding what it means and what we can do, and how it affects us individually, and then in businesses, and then across communities.
Yeah. Well, it also reminds me of this moment that, at any moment, like the phone could ring, right? And it's like, you have to make the effort to answer, you have to make the call, you have to make that effort, right? I think it's interesting. The effort is important. I actually have a clip of this, so give me one moment.
Yeah.
I just got off the phone here for the Empowerment Summit in London, and it's all ready and set. The tickets are available. Sign up today. So,
amazing.
It's like, you just never know, right? Like, literally it could happen in that moment.
Love that.
You have to be ready for the phone. You have to be ready for empowerment to happen, because it'll take you by storm if you allow it to happen. I guess I know we're starting to get low on our time together, but what is the biggest thing that you like around this construct of empowerment for people, and really providing them that moment? I know you were kind of hinting towards that, but what is your big most favoritist thing about that moment, right, that someone gets?
Yeah, I guess it's like that feeling of, for me, it's about just being yourself, being authentic, and like you say, being open to opportunities, and feeling like that it can happen, that things can happen. And as you say, you've got to either make the call or answer the call. You have to put yourself out there, and you can do that. And the more that you learn and speak with other people, and ask the difficult questions, or put yourself in a situation you're not comfortable with, or you feel like you might even say the wrong thing, which is like the scariest thing, and nobody ever wants to do that. But actually, if you put yourself in those positions, then you learn and you grow, and then you don't know what's going to happen next. Like you say, the phone could ring. You could meet someone at this summit. You could meet someone that changes the course of your career or your personal, like whatever, for the rest of your life. And I think that for me is what, empowerment is all about. And kind of, it's very individual, isn't it? I think, or it's individual, but actually it's also very community focused as well. And, everyone working together. So yeah, I don't think that was one thing. I think that was probably about 5 things, but there you go.
Well, no, but I gathered it as like almost as like the confidence.
Yeah.
That's at least what I took away from what you were saying, is the confidence to do those things.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like empowerment obviously is that mix of confidence, which comes from the authority portion of empowerment in my teaching. And then the power portion of empowerment is where usually the monetary items live, right? So like when you heard me say, like I said, it was like a $10 or $11 million economic impact event, right? It was, right, it's how many, and then I said, oh, it was 1,700 attendees, right? Like literally it's those numbers that are associated with it. Because to reach all people in this world, you have to combine both the emotional quotient and the way it makes you feel with the actual statistical number as well. And that's where you're like this most special part of empowerment will happen, when someone makes that connection point to both those items. Because some people listen in this space and some people listen only in this space. So it's just interesting. Any last closing thoughts that you have for our guest today?
No, well, just thank you so much again for having me on here, and then for inviting Visit Tampa Bay to be a partner on for the summit. I hope that anyone from the UK who's listening or watching is keen to come over. We have direct flights with BA and Virgin Atlantic launching in November, so it's really easy. And please do go to visittampa.com to find out more. But no, Ashley, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, and I can't wait to meet you properly next week.
I know. We're gonna have a beverage too at some point.
Yes, I love
it. Right?
Yeah, let's go to the pub.
Yes, we totally will. But no, thank you so much for joining. This was fantastic, and as always, big thank you to Visit Tampa Bay. and the whole team there. Appreciate you all so much. Thanks for supporting me and my event, and likewise.
Thank you.